to the 20 questions. Matt Haneke, we are so lucky to have you, and you're the first Australian.
Good, that's good.
And the first non-show jumping rider. So thank you so much.
Okay, wow, I'm breaking through all the barriers.
Exactly, that's the whole point.
Okay, very good, very good.
All right, I know you're so super busy, so I'm going to get started with these questions. And
okay.
Let's hit the rock. All right, so tell me, how did you get into riding?
Okay, so my life's been a little bit hectic in the sense that I've lived a little bit everywhere. So I'm Italian German, my father's German, my mother is Italian. And I was born in Italy, and we had friends in Italy that owned a riding school. So my parents would often go visit them. And then eventually we became old enough that once they were visiting, they said, why don't you guys go have a riding lesson, to myself and my twin brother? Why don't you guys go have a riding lesson and we'll just chit chat and do adult stuff? And so I was like, all right, yeah, I'll give it a go. And then kind of since that day, I fell in love with the horses, the sport, and everything in between. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. And how long did you live in Italy for?
I lived in Italy from 1997 until 2009. So about 11, 12 years of my life. So my parents knew we were always going to move because my dad was looking at purchasing a business overseas, which ended up being in Australia. But before, they were considering either Canada or the US. And then the opportunity for Australia came up, and my parents, since they already knew this move was going to come, they put my brother and I in a European school. So we were already started to learn English a little bit, but it was still quite basic, what we knew. So yeah, at the age of 12, we made the move, or 11, I was in year 5. We made the move to Australia. It was very surreal. It was very different, but I remember we were all super excited. We were all ready for a change. And my parents were kind of like, we're going to go to Australia and we're not going to live in an apartment anymore. We're going to have a house and we're going to have a garden. Maybe you can have a dog. And I was like, a dog? Sign me up. I'm going. Let's do it. And I kind of saw potential to maybe even have my own horse. So I was like, okay, this is a place where, I can keep fueling my passion.
Yeah. And now you're back in Europe.
I know. And I always said, because I had to really integrate myself into the Australian culture, I didn't want to have an accent. I worked really hard at perfecting my English, and I wanted to really assimilate. And so I said, okay, I'm never doing this again, because it's so difficult, especially because Italy is such a different culture and language, that once I was able to somewhat master that, I was like, I'd never want to go through this again. And I promised even my parents, I was like, I'm not moving out of Australia. If you guys want to go somewhere else, do it for work or whatever, but I'm staying here. And in the end, I'm now in the Netherlands, where they don't speak English and the culture is completely different. But yeah, it's weird. Life takes you in different places. You just got to roll with the punches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, next question. What was the name of your first pony?
My first pony, I never really went through the stage of ponies, because I started riding when I was 8 and I was always very tall. So I always had horses. And my first horse that I kind of was close to me was a horse called Peter. He was a retired off-the-track thoroughbred who was 27, but he was 16 too. And I think at the time I was 13, so he was quite big for me back then, but he was super easy. And we went to, these names will get you. We went to Hawkesbury for a dressage show. And in my first show with him, I got 68%, and I think I got 4th or 3rd in the class on a 27-year-old retired thoroughbred, with no idea what contact was, anything. I mean, it was really the beginning. So I kind of, I had a lot of fun with him, and he taught me a lot. But he was, I guess, my first lease anyway, not my first own horse.
Well, being an Aussie, you've got to have ridden the thoroughbreds off the track. So.
Oh, absolutely. You got to find out how difficult it is to sit that trot. And then once you get that, it's almost like getting a pen license. Then you can move up to a warm blood once you've earned it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. What are the similarities with dressage and modeling?
Similarities with dressage and modeling? Oh, that's a good question. I think, it's, dare I say it's political? No, no. I don't know. I think they can both be very, very demanding tasks in their own right. I think they both look much more appealing on the outside than they are on the inside, with great highs and great lows in both. But I think the biggest similarity is that it looks very pretty and fancy on the outside, and on the inside, it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. think you're right.
Yeah, it's hard. I always look at like I don't want to make the comparison. I love show jumpers, don't get me wrong, but like with show jumpers, there's a lot of turnover in horses because I think there's also a shorter lifespan of a show jumper. And then you get to dressage and you see people taking on like a 3-year-old until they're like retiring it at 17 or something, you know? I feel like that's quite rare in show jumping. What would you say? Do you agree?
Definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you can get the horses to 17 still jumping very good in our sport, it's already a big,
yeah.
Yeah.
And what, because I'm not super familiar, but what would be the oldest show jumper at like the Olympics?
Oh, at the Olympics, probably 16, 17. I mean,
that's also quite a decent age then.
At its best, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
They probably peak around 14. You know.
Yeah. Okay, that's somewhat similar to dressage then. I mean, I know a bit about show jumping myself. I think I've always wanted to be a show jumper in a way, but I never had the horses.
Yeah.
So I've dabbled a little bit, and I had an amazing experience of going and doing a training day with Ludger Beerbaum in Germany for a Longines event, which was incredible, and that really fueled my inner show jumper. Yeah. But yeah, I've never had the horses, so I feel like by default I went into dressage. Yeah.
Okay, next question. When are you more stressed or nervous, before a dressage competition or on the catwalk?
Okay, that's definitely the catwalk, because there's this, I can't describe to you the feeling of like, it's firstly, if you're a guy, it's so, I mean, even if you're a girl, but if you're a guy, it's so difficult to book a show. There's not that many shows for guys. Yeah. And a show season can last for about a month and a half if you go to New York as well. Mm-hmm. So if you've done castings for, you know, a whole week in Milan, and then you finally get that one show, which for me, I was lucky. They were always very big in Milan. Yeah. Then you're like at rehearsals, and then you have your fitting, and then you're on the day of, and there's 4 hours of prep. You know, it all builds up to like 20 seconds of walking, which is crazy, but it's such a hype, and you know, the people you're surrounded by, and the models, even the celebrities that come to attend that are watching, it's an incredible feeling. But it's like nervousness, and then as soon as you start walking on the catwalk, at least for me, I'm 100% fine. Then there's no problem. It's just the build up behind because all the boys get a number, you get put into line, and you see all the boys going out before you, and you're just waiting for your cue for somebody to tell you to go onto the runway. And that moment is like, that's when you're losing it. And then as soon as you start to walk and you go outside, and you almost don't see the crowd, you just kind of focus on doing your job. It's incredible. Yeah.
But I feel like when I go into the ring, when I'm jumping, I also don't really see the crowd. You know, there is similarities in the sense that there's so much preparation around it, but probably different style because you can take your time, whereas this you're a bit more stressed and you've got the pressure there and you've got to do it, right? Yeah,
and I guess similarly and not so similarly. I mean, in horse riding, if you're riding for yourself on your own horses, if you stuff up, it's, you know, it's on you. Nobody's going to be pulling you off the runway after and saying, you know, like that wasn't good enough.
Yeah, sure.
But if you're walking for a really big fashion house and then you make an error, you know, that can kind of potentially affect the rest of your career. So it is a bit daunting when it comes to that.
Yeah. So which dressage rider do you admire the most?
I think the first person that comes to mind for me is Carl Hester. I really love his approach to how he handles his horses, how he has them out all day. He's got a very friendly approach in his training. He's always thinking about the horse and the mental side of the horse as well. He's trained Charlotte, who obviously is currently holding the record for dressage. And yeah, I really, really like him. He's also a really nice guy. And I think it's kind of hard to find people at his level that are still very down to earth and can still have a nice chat and kick back and have a laugh. So I think he's definitely the first one that comes to mind. And if I have to think of somebody a bit more towards my side of like that I can relate to, I really like Catherine Dauphin. I think she spreads a lot of positivity on social media with everything she does, even when she just is sharing her relationship. And I think she's also an amazing rider as well.
Excellent. Okay. What do you miss the most about living in Australia?
Okay. I think it's two things that go hand in hand. I think you take it for granted just being able to like drive and like read what's on the signs. So just being able to be in a country that speaks English in the sense that everything is English. I am really lucky because here in the Netherlands, everyone you speak to for the most part will speak English. But I do miss, you know, the mother tongue being English, of course. And the second thing is the weather, because everybody warned me, everybody said there's this thing called like the winter depression in the Netherlands, and it hits everybody around February. And I was like, yeah, right, you know, it'll be fine. I travel a lot. Yeah. It hits. That winter depression hits hard because you just go through like, I've never been through so much rain and cold in my life. It just will not rain. It will not stop raining like for months. And yeah, so that's something I'm getting acquainted to, but I feel like I will get used to that eventually. I hope.
You have to get used to it.
I have to. I live here now and I bought the house, so yeah, I have to get used to it.
That's it. But you can always go back and visit and get
Yeah, I can always go back, and that's the good thing, you know, if you travel that side of the world when it's winter here, it's summer there. So if I need a break, I can always head over. Not that it's the most convenient flight, but
no,
it's worth it.
Yeah. Okay, how often do you get your hair styled?
I get my hair cut every 3 weeks, which is a lot, but my hair grows really, really fast. Yeah. And I kind of have it kind of shorter and neater. And I think if you do that, then you have to get it done more often. Yes. And my hair is actually naturally curly. Oh. So every 3 months I do a straightening keratin treatment. And it's something that I've kind of held up since I was modeling, because when I was modeling, sometimes I'd be on a job and they would pretty much always straighten my hair. But when you're on a job, they want it the same. So I would maybe be getting it straightened like 15 times in one day to make sure that it was staying straight or there wasn't any curls coming back. And so to not have my hair fried, I was like, okay, let's just do this. And I kind of kept it up ever since. And it's super easy because I don't even have to do anything. It's just kind of ready. Yeah.
Describe your perfect day.
Oh, my perfect day. This is going to sound strange, but my perfect day is for it to be slightly different than any other day. Like, I hate doing the same thing all the time. Yeah. And it's simple things like, for instance, when I'm cleaning the stables, I sit there and I think I'm cleaning something that I know will just get dirty again. And this could be my future for like 25 years of like continuously doing one task, knowing it's just going to get undone again and again and again. So I need variety. My perfect day consists of like one day creating content and one day spending it seeing a friend and doing something for them and giving back as well. And another day, you know, being with my horses. Of course, I've got responsibilities. There's going to be repetition in that, but that's what's been so hard about COVID is I'm constantly looking for like mental stimulation through different things. I want to be out there meeting new people, seeing new places. I love traveling. I love learning. And if I don't have that, it really affects me. And so, yeah, I kind of have to make that up now because, well, now we're nearing the end, but I had to kind of constantly make up things here to like keep me engaged. And so what I did is I started gardening. I was like, you know what? I know absolutely nothing about gardening. Our garden is looking like rubbish. Oh. So why don't I just invest some time, learn something, meet people, do this? And I just always need something. So for me, the perfect day is just being excited by something new that kind of stimulates me and gets me up every day.
All right, so your next vlog is going to be on gardening?
I don't know. I always find there's a fine line between sharing things people care and sharing things you only care about. So I try and always like mix it in a little bit. Like I just released a little like house update video where I showed some stuff of the garden and I was able to like squeeze that in. So I don't know. You don't want to be that person that like bores somebody else with the one thing they're like obsessed about. So I try and keep that to a minimum. All my friends and people here are already hearing about it nonstop. So that's enough torture for them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. What are the top 3 things on your bucket list and why?
On my bucket list, I have actually kicked a few off already. Like 2 years ago, there's an interview online and it said like, oh, but what are the top 3? And I think one was going to Africa, which I've been able to achieve, which was incredible. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. So that's kicked off now. And another one was I wanted to do like a modeling job in Canada, but I wanted to do it specifically like through modeling. And that's also done now. So I don't know actually specifically. I think I want to keep like delving deeper into content creation. I think a huge goal of mine was also doing a movie, which I did last year, which was super exciting. Even though my role wasn't huge in it, still being part of that production and being amongst it was amazing. So potentially maybe doing a bigger role would be interesting and fun and a new challenge for me, something to stimulate me and do something else. Yeah. But as far as actually having things set down, I don't know. I think it's what's been incredible so far about my life is that like I didn't want to out of myself come to the Netherlands. I didn't want to model out of myself. These are all opportunities that presented themselves, and I pushed myself to do it and to try. And I hope that's something I can continue to do, because then it's always a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, good. Excellent. Okay. What's your favorite country to visit then?
Favorite country to visit? I think, yeah, sorry to sound repetitive, but Africa. Like I've wanted to go. We were meant to go back to Africa in May. We were gonna go to South Africa again for another excursion, which was gonna be incredible. Of course, that got cancelled sadly because of the circumstances. But ever since I went to Africa, I've just been itching to go back. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just the whole atmosphere, and I'm somebody that loves nature, being outside, and we were able to tour Botswana on horseback for a whole week, and we saw all the animals on horseback, and it was just incredible. It was just the most amazing experience. So I'm just dying to go back and do it again, but seeing another side of Africa now.
Well, I should put that on my bucket list, because I've never been there. So
you have to do it. Like, you know, when you see that everything on National Geographic, it looks 10 times better in real life. Yeah. Like there's no words. It's just like, I was even thinking like, it feels like you're on another planet. Yeah.
Still, Australia is the best place, or not?
Yeah, I would say that. I really, really, really like Australia. I will always consider it somewhat home, and I'm very proud of, I'm an Australian citizen. So to be Australian, I'm very, very proud of that. And I count myself, like if I've got to like close my eyes and think, okay, what am I? I feel Australian. Like I compare everything to Australia. I feel like all the quirks and things of Australian culture I have in me. So yeah, I don't know. It's Australia will always have a special place in my heart, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, well then what city have you never been to that you'd like to visit?
Let me think. I've traveled a lot now. Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting question. Beijing or Tokyo, like that hustle and bustle and that different culture, that does appeal to me as well. But it would have to be a semi-short trip, because I'm like quickly not bored, but like once I've seen it kind of thing. Like I can't be somewhere for like 3 weeks. No. Like 3-4 days, that's enough. That's enough for me.
Well, Europe's a great place to be for that anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so close to everything. And even if you want to pick up the car, like I've got some jobs I do in Germany and I can just drive. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So then, coming from Australia, do you prefer the European winters or the hot Aussie summers?
Hot Aussie summers for sure. For sure. There's no doubt. I've always been somebody, I like going outside and not worrying like, oh, is it raining? Is it cold? Do I need a jacket? Do I need this? I like just going outside and being able to enjoy the outdoors and my animals and not having to think twice about what the weather's doing. So definitely the warmth. Yeah.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, window or aisle seat?
What was the question, sorry?
Window or aisle seat?
Window. Oh, always. There's nothing worse than getting aisle, especially because when I get aisle, I'm 6'4". I'm very tall. And so if I need to sleep, if I'm in aisle, I can't sleep either way, because I'm either like in the middle where the trolleys hit me, or I'm on somebody else's shoulder. So if I have the window, I always only ask for window, because then I can lean on the window and I can go slightly side on with my body so I can fit. Because if I sit straight, like my knees don't really fit. So I have to slouch a little and open my legs, and then I can kind of fit. So always window, always.
Okay. All right, describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh, God. Oh, that's tricky. As much as it looks like I'm all about myself, I never think about myself. I would say I'm fair, trustworthy, and I think I'm funny. I hope I'm funny. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. What would you say? How would you describe yourself?
I would say determined. I would say loyal. And I would say sense of humor.
Okay, good. Can laugh.
Exactly. You need to have a laugh.
I know for sure.
Okay. If you could switch lives with anyone for a day, who would it be?
Switch lives with anybody for a day. Oh my God, you're giving me like this, not simple questions, but questions that shouldn't be that hard that I'm finding extremely difficult. Switching lives with somebody for one day. I guess it depends what I'm trying to get out of, like, I could do the whole thing of like switching lives with a rider or of horses I've always wanted to feel. So probably like I would switch lives with Catherine just because her horses look amazing. They look super supple. They look like a very fun ride. And she looks to be living in a very like fun and beautiful place. So I think switching lives with her would be cool. And then just something completely out of the ordinary, like switching lives with a really famous actor just to feel what that's like to like live in their environment. So I don't know, somebody crazy, somebody like Leo or somebody who's got a huge, huge following. Yeah.
All right, what's your biggest strength?
I think I am passionate and confident in the things I believe in. So if people tell me it's not going to work, if I'm really passionate and I believe in it, I will make it happen. I will find a way to make it work. Yeah. Just like, for instance, I was being told like, you can't fly a horse because you've got to upfront all this money. It's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I want to move to the Netherlands and I want to fly my horse. And so I was able to find sponsors and put up a production to fund everything for me to come over. So I think that's definitely one of my strengths.
Okay, what's your biggest weakness?
I'm quite sensitive, I think. So it's difficult with the job I have because you get a lot of good and you get a lot of bad. I have to say I'm quite lucky compared to other accounts. I don't get that much hate, but sometimes that one comment can be so much louder than the other 2,000 comments, which is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah.
But I think because I'm so honest, when you kind of let that wall down and people have something to say about it, it kind of hits you in a different way than if you had a big front and you were just putting on a show. So that's why there's certain topics in my life that I know I can't handle being criticized on, or I don't want that. I don't want that stress or that anxiety. So I just choose not to share it. And it's not about, not letting people in or anything like that. I always say to everybody, especially people that come to me and say, with social media, how do I do it? How much of my private life do I put out? And I said, put out whatever you can be criticized on. So if you can handle the hate on something that's maybe very private, because there's people that talk about, their childhood traumas and things like that. If you can have people dealing and delving into that, then do it, as long as you're comfortable. It should never affect your own mental health.
Sure. Exactly. 100%. Okay. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time at?
In 10 years' time, I see myself with a Lamborghini. I see myself having really like renovated the place we're at and having a bigger stable with a few more horses. And then I'm currently in the process of building a new business. And I hope by then it's become a bit of an empire. But I can't really say too much about that yet, sadly. But it's I'm really kind of working now towards the future because, as we know, with social media, you never know where it's going to go. So it's about making something while you can. And I really want to make a difference in the horse world because I think there's so many things that can be done better. Yeah. And there's a lot of catching up that we have to do with a lot of other sports. We're always like 20 years behind on everything. And I've really had to realize that now, being involved with the sport so heavily and seeing so many things for myself now. And so I hope I can make a really big change in just making the sport more entertaining. We have already so much talent. We have so many amazing riders. We don't need any more of that. I don't need to be, breeding the next superstar. There's already so many amazing people that can do that 10 times better than me. I just want to make sure we can all have fun and be entertained whilst all of this is going on, because I don't feel like we have that. Like there's no place that me as a passionate horse person I can go to and be entertained. I feel like the only space that kind of offers that now is YouTube, which is why a lot of us now are finding a lot of success in it compared to other companies that are making content. Yeah. And so I think that's a huge space I'm diving into, and with Yesa we're putting a lot of money into making sure that we can provide something for the community. I think every sport has so many amazing different things going on, and we're lacking that. It's so like competitions and nothing. So I want to fill that space in between and make it entertaining.
Yeah, I like that answer. That's a great answer. It's true. Yeah. There's so much more for our sport to offer than what it's offering. And maybe you can be a part of that revolution.
Yeah, and I would hate in 20 years' time, it's an ever-changing time, and how are the next riders gonna get motivated to try riding, to be involved in it? If we don't make it fun and appealing, because at the end of the day, that's how you start. Nobody starts because they want to be Olympic. People start because it's fun as a child. It's fun to ride. It's exciting. If we don't put that into the media, into content, into TV shows, into movies, what's gonna be the incentive for the next rider to get on a horse? And if there isn't one, it means that everything that we've done now is for nothing. All the hard work that people are putting in for the future in competitions and setting records, if in 10 years' time nobody cares and there's no space for it, it's all for nothing.
Interesting. Okay. What's the one thing then people don't know about you?
Ooh, I do share a lot online.
I know you do.
Well, I stress a lot about money. I think I think a lot of people always talk easily about oh, you can buy this, you can buy that. But I think you and I both know inside there's so many costs, and you have so many responsibilities when you have people working for you, and when you have a lot of animals, there's at least I feel a huge sense of responsibility. So I'm constantly hoping that I'm doing enough, that there will be enough for the future to sustain everybody. I'm never the kind of person that, wants to be late on a payment or anything like that. But that's more my own anxiety that festers. I feel too much responsibility maybe at times.
Yeah, but you've gotten this far, so I'm sure it's not a problem at all for you.
I hope so. But yeah, that's the thing. You never know. You just never, even with this whole COVID thing, I'm lucky I have a lot of things in place, but for a lot of other people that I know that are influencers or content creators, it's really hard right now. Yeah, it's difficult.
All right. The lucky last question that everyone wants to know, other than being such a fantastic person as you are and very open and giving so many wonderful vlogs and everything that you are supplying the equestrian world with, what is your secret to having so many followers?
I think I never forget that what I do is entertainment. I'm not out here to give advice or educate people. I'm here solely to entertain. And so I try and show that side of myself that I try and show to my friends. I'm the kind of person, I want to make people laugh. I want to make sure people are having a good time. And when you go to a party and it's a bit stale, so you try and really give that energy to pump it up or make people have a good time. I try and do that through my videos. Yeah. I always try and, I want the person who's sitting on the other side, that if they're having a bad day, their day gets better. Or if they need a distraction, they get a distraction. If they want something to laugh at, they have something to laugh at. I just give people something which is just making them smile. It doesn't have to be they sit back and they think, oh my God, that was such an amazing video, or he's so well spoken, or he's got so many great ideas. If you can finish watching my videos and you've smiled and you've enjoyed it, that makes me happy. And so I think that's kind of my mentality behind it.
And you are you.
Yeah, in a way. But I mean, you do have to hype things up a bit for the camera, because they always say that the camera takes 20% of your personality away than if you're in real life. But there's something I like about having to be Matt for the camera. There's something fun about letting people in and being a little bit more open and more funny and wanting to have a good time that little bit more. I really enjoy that, because it makes me feel I'm kind of bringing everybody on this journey with me to have a good time. I'm not just being oh yeah, this is my house and this is this. Yeah. I want you to have a good time. I want you to be with me, and I want you to be right there next to me as if you were a friend and getting excited with me about PREs and things like that. Even though you might be a show jumper who doesn't care about, Spanish horses, if I can get you excited and laughing about it, that makes me happy. Yeah.
Listen, Matt, I have had a wonderful time having this chat with you, even though
good. Thank you. Me too.
We're not so far away from each other, but
yeah,
we see each other more often, and you're always welcome, that, to come to watch the jumping event.
No, I appreciate it. I would love to. I'd love to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.